morning, I'm Claire Murphy. Welcome to the Solo Bureau. How do you go on Tuesdays? Everyone talks about Monday-itis or the Sunday blues, but it is Tuesday for me. I don't know, adrenaline gets me through Monday. Wednesday, you know you're halfway to the weekend. Thursday's basically Friday, and Friday's a party from the get-go. But Tuesday, it's a rough day for me. Hope you're doing it better than I am. First world problem, I am aware. Okay, today, if you wanted to catch big stage productions of musicals like Back to the Future, Beetlejuice or Waitress, then I'm sorry to tell you, but you are fresh out of luck. 2025 and 26 has seen a stack of musical productions canned. What is going on behind the curtain? We find out from someone who basically lives backstage. But before we do that, what's been going down while you were sleeping? Let's find out. It's Tuesday, June 30. A father and son have been pulled from beneath the rubble left behind after the double earthquake in Venezuela 4 days earlier. Rescue workers carried the pair from the collapsed building, giving hope to rescuers that they can still find people alive. Their recovery comes a day after a mother and her 9-month-old baby were also freed from the ruins. The death toll from the twin quakes that hit the region on Wednesday last week is nearing 1,500, with tens of thousands of people still missing. The US and Iran have agreed to stop the back-and-forth reprisal attacks and renew peace talks. Both sides have agreed to stand down for now after both accused the other of breaching the ceasefire agreement, Iran reportedly firing on ships attempting to navigate the Strait of Hormuz, the US launching aerial attacks in retaliation, and then Iran firing missiles towards US bases in other Gulf states. Talks are scheduled to continue today in Qatar. Bruce Lehrmann has lost a bid to access copies of footage from a documentary featuring Brittney Higgins. Lehrmann had subpoenaed the producers of the doco Silence and Signalled, a story of how defamation laws are used to silence survivors, in a possible move to ban its broadcast before his scheduled trial in Queensland, where he's accused of rape. A judge found the footage was not relevant to the upcoming trial and that there was no legitimate forensic purpose for the subpoena. The head of the World Health Organization says the outbreak of Hantvirus that originated on a cruise ship is near its end. The outbreak of the South American Andes variant impacted a small cruise ship back in May. All contacts linked to 2 cases in South Africa have now completed their 2-week follow-up, with quarantine and follow-up finalised for all those in Spain and the Netherlands, including the crew of the ship, the MV Hondius, with no additional cases identified. The WHO believes the chain of infection may have originated with a Dutch couple who could have contracted the virus ashore in Argentina before boarding the ship. They both sadly passed away, as did a third passenger identified as a German national. Still with the WHO, they believe that Europe's heatwave is now linked to at least 1,300 deaths. More than 1,300 excess deaths have been recorded since June 21, the WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus writing that Europe is the fastest warming continent on Earth, heating at twice the global average, and that right now, he said, 150 million people are living under extreme heat, hundreds have died, schools are shut and grids are buckling. He says, we were warned, but that now the once-in-a-generation heatwave is occurring now. Temperature records have been broken across Europe this week, the mercury heading above 40 degrees in places like Germany, Poland and the Czech Republic. Australia will remain Vanuatu's security partner of choice, the leaders of both countries signing a deal to continue the relationship. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese met with Vanuatu's PM, Jonathan Napat, both signing the Nakamal Agreement in Canberra yesterday. Mr Albanese said this deal reflects and confirms Australia's role as Vanuatu's largest and most comprehensive economic security and development partner, a responsibility Mr Albanese says we take very seriously.
It's not lost on my government, the naming of this agreement. In Vanuatu, the Nakamal is the traditional meeting place where the community and its leaders consult and make decisions with mutual respect, trust and understanding. And this is the bedrock of the relationship between our two nations and of this agreement.
Like the 1997 movie Jackie Brown, an airline worker has been caught arriving at Melbourne Airport, allegedly carrying $500,000 worth of heroin in 12 tote bags. The 26-year-old from Thailand was working on an international flight when Border Force staff saw anomalies during her baggage X-ray. A further examination revealed a white powder concealed in the bag's lining. She was charged with importing and possessing a marketable quantity of a border-controlled drug. Just days after it was revealed that a 23-year-old football player had been living with CTE, a traumatic brain injury that develops with repeated head knocks, 5-time All-Australian, 3-time Premiership player and one of the country's most decorated AFLW players, Chelsea Randall, has retired due to concussion issues. The 35-year-old, who has captained the Adelaide Crows for 8 seasons, says she has to step away from the game with her health and family in mind, saying she'll miss the immense joy that playing gave her. Randall, who played 80 games at the AFLW level and who missed the 2021 grand final after a heavy collision during the prelim, is known for her hard game.
She is a fearless footballer, but fearless to the point that you're like, that looks scary, dangerous, and it's fun to watch. But
she puts her body on the line and has copped a few big injuries because of it, but she is fearless.
That's Kirby Bentley speaking to Inside the Huddle. Aussie superstar Sam Kerr has signed on with her new club, inking a deal with Gotham FC that will see her play until 2030. Kerr was with English side Chelsea, where she played for 6 years and scored a ton of silverware for the cabinet, but she now comes full circle, returning to the team in the National Women's Soccer League in the US, which was called Sky Blue FC when she launched her career there before it rebranded as Gotham FC in 2021. Prince William has shared his fondest memories of his late grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, for the digital memorial in her honour.
I remember many a quiet afternoon having tea with her and my grandfather at the castle, chatting, sharing stories, and seeing how completely at ease she was here, surrounded by family and her much-loved dogs and horses. To this day, she's given me a love of tea time that I never knew I needed.
You can see the video at queenelizabeth.com. The website launched on what would have been her 100th birthday in April. Actress Teyana Taylor has taken out 4 awards at the BETs, which honour black actors, singers and sports stars. The one battle after another star took home the Fashion Vanguard Award, Best Actress and Video Director of the Year for her short film Escape Room. She was also presented with the Icon of the Year Award by Janet Jackson. A teary Taylor told Jackson that there would be no me without you. Okay, first shift is over. If you're heading off, stay safe. Try not to let the boss trigger you today, okay? We'll see you here again tomorrow. Second shift, if you're sticking around, are you a musical lover? It's not a great year for touring shows, but what impact is those shows being cancelled having on the arts world? We speak to playwright Melanie Tait about what's happening behind the scenes. What kind of musical genre are you? Are you a traditionalist, a little Les Mis, Cats or Phantom of the Opera maybe? Perhaps you're more movie-inspired, a touch of Lion King or Back to the Future. Or perhaps it's comedy, some Producers or Book of Mormon. Am I just listing off musicals I have seen in my lifetime? Also mostly yes, but for Aussies who love musical theatre, the news that yet another show's cut its run short is concerning. Dear Evan Hansen won 6 Tony Awards and was turned into a movie, but that didn't translate to ticket sales in Australia, with all shows in Adelaide and Canberra called off early last year. Back to the Future, the musical, didn't make it out of Sydney, canning their entire Australian tour, ending its run where it started, at the Lyric Theatre in January this year. On July 5, the musical production of Beetlejuice also ended abruptly during the Brisbane run, cancelling Sydney, Adelaide and Perth. Now this week, Waitress, starring Natalie Bassingthwaite, has also pulled its run. Planned shows in Sydney now called off. The final performance, if you want to catch it before it goes, is in Melbourne on July 19. Cost of living pressures and economic uncertainty and ongoing tensions in the Gulf have seen Australians pop that wallet away when it comes to luxuries like a night at the theatre. But what does that mean for the arts community and for arts in general, seemingly always the first item to be cut when it comes to tightening the belt? Mel Tait, it's so nice to have you. Welcome to the Solo Bureau.
It's absolutely great to be here, Claire.
For those of you who don't know, Mel and I have worked together over the years and we have grown to respect one another from our very different energy levels where it comes to our work days. Do you agree?
I do. And there's so much love there. We ended up doing that exact thing, respecting each other so hard, which I just love.
Just to clarify, Mel comes at life from a very theatrical vibe, and mine is much lower frequency. So we had to find a nice common ground in the middle for us to exist on.
Exactly. But luckily we both cared deeply about the news and truth and all the things that really matter. So like, yay that we got there, because we are similar of soul deep down.
Indeed we are.
About the things that matter.
Great love of news will always bring us together. Okay, but your other world is the theatre. And for those who don't know, you are a very successful playwright. You've even had one of your plays turned into a movie, which was fabulous. And so you are currently in the works to launch another play, which is very exciting. But this is with background news happening, making headlines that yet another musical has cut short its run here in Australia. But it's not the only one. Is 2026 killing the musical here? What's happening?
Wow, it would certainly appear to be like that at the moment. I mean, for the musical theatre part of our theatre industry, I think people will be really scared by this news of Waitress closing. It's not extending it's not doing its full tour, and that's the same with Beetlejuice, which is currently on in Brisbane, and it was announced I think last week or the week before that it wouldn't be continuing its national tour either. It's pretty scary stuff, and it's a lot of people and a lot of jobs. A lot of people who now don't have jobs, basically. So when you get one of the great things when you're an artist in theatre is when you hear that one of your shows is going to tour, because most of like in the creative team, certainly like the writer, the director, etc. We often our payment is tied to the amount of performances that are on. That's not the case with actors and musicians, etc. They're on a wage, but still, it's important to them when they book a tour. That's anywhere between 6 to 8 months of continuous work, which for an actor and for a musician is pretty amazing. So all of these artists would have been banking on that, because you sign a contract and you think that, well, that's it. I'm sorted now for the next 6 months. So I think that aspect of it is really, really scary. It's interesting, though. I don't know what it says about us as an audience here in Australia, because, Claire, these are 3 pretty risky musicals in actual fact to have been programmed and put on. You think initially something like Back to the Future would be a no-brainer, but it's actually not. It's kind of a niche audience, something like Back to the Future. Same with Beetlejuice and same with Waitress. Waitress is a show that people who love musical theatre really, really love. But it's not your Les Mis, it's not your Phantom, it's not an Oscar, a Rodgers and Hammerstein. So look, to be honest, when I look at what's happened, I'm devastated for my colleagues, but I'm a bit scared that it's going to make us all a little bit more conservative in what's programmed, and what those big producers like Michael Cassel and like John Frost, who are 2 of the producers of these musicals, that they're going to be a lot more conservative with what they put on the stage from now on, because we don't ever hear of Les Mis closing early, Phantom closing early, etc. I think Sister Act had a great run last year, for example, or or the year before. So it's a complicated thing.
So it might just be that they won't take a risk on smaller productions, because is it just the cost of putting these on just due to the current economic situation?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of things. So musicals are really, really, really expensive to put on because they're very human resource heavy, So the play that I'm currently that's in development, we are arguing over whether we have 6 or 7 actors, right, in this play, and that's a lot of actors for a theatre show. We're encouraged pretty much to be writing things for anywhere between 2 and at the most 6 people. And so when you think about a musical, usually just the cast, and I always sit there. I love musicals, Claire. I love them.
Me
and
too.
I usually sit there and because they're wonderful and they make our souls feel better. And quite often I'll sit there and count the amount of people on stage. And usually a cast in a musical is anywhere between sort of 16 and 25 people. So you've got that for a start. Then you've got your band. And then quite often the show itself will be full of bells and whistles that need, again, a big stage, backstage staff to support that as well as, dresses and all sorts of things that in the sort of traditional theatre that's not a musical, we don't really have as much. So it's very human resource heavy. But also, because of that, musicals are really expensive to see. The Lion King's playing in Sydney at the moment, and I just went to try and book some tickets to a matinee to go with my sister and my niece and nephew, and that was going to cost something like $800, which, I mean, I just don't have that money at this moment in time, and a lot of people don't. And I'm not somebody who is at home trying to raise 4 kids and have that extra expense as well. So there's the ticket price thing. And then I think generally, like when I talk to people at the moment, I'm sure you're finding this too, Claire, people are really tightening their belts. People are really struggling. And so, of course, that's going to be the first thing that goes, is a musical that isn't a sure thing. Like you go to The Lion King, you go to Les Mis, etc. You know what you're getting. And I don't think the audiences know as much about those musicals, and they're great musicals. Like Waitress is fantastic. Waitress is it's like banger after banger. It's so good, but it's not an easy musical. And I think that so there's a lot of factors at play here, I think.
I didn't consider the expense of the technicals. Like, I went to see Back to the Future and I thought it was wonderful, having been a massive fan of the movies as a younger person. And then to have a whole ass DeLorean on the stage that arrives out of nowhere and then flies out over the crowd, like that's not a cheap thing to bring to a stage production, right?
No, you've got to get that on and off. And you've also got to every single night be with something like that. I mean, it's fantastic, isn't it? But with something like that, there are so many safety concerns as well. When you've got something flying over the audience, you've got to have, like, I don't know, but I would imagine just for that moment, they would have had 2 or 3 extra staff to what a normal musical would have anyway, just for safety concerns, for everything. Like it's really, musicals are a big, big business in every sense.
I wonder now what the vibe is like, Mel, for people in the industry, because when a lot of people, and I mean in my industry too, a lot of people have been made redundant in the last 12 months with musicals shutting down like this. There's a lot of people then who are out of work. What's the vibe like in the arts community at the moment with this kind of thing happening in the background?
I think people are really sad about this. Everything that I've seen shared online, etc., has been really sad, and people are scared about what this means for the industry, whether it does mean the end of the big musical, or, I mean, I don't think it does mean the end of the big musical. I think it means the end of a somewhat experimental musical. Waitress, like I said, Beetlejuice, and to an extent Back to the Future are all, they're not known properties, so therefore they're we can kind of call them experimental musicals in a way, I guess. They're pretty traditional, but you know what I mean. And so I think people are scared about that. And, it's a pretty tough time to be an arts worker anyway, at any time, but at the moment it's particularly tough. And anything I think that the industry sees, where something's been cancelled, is really scary. I mean, I haven't had a chance. I've got some friends in Waitress and I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody yet, but just from knowing them, they've got families to support. I think there will be people that are pretty scared right now, and we're banking on money for the next few months, who won't be getting that money. So yeah, it's a scary time, but you know what? Like, people have been predicting the end of theatre since Shakespeare's time, and we have hung around and we've shape-shifted, and we've gone back to, that basic thing of a human on stage telling a story to an audience cannot be replaced. There's no other space you can get that. And I hope that it outlasts, every dip we have, every, risk we have from AI, etc. We have outlasted radio, we've outlasted TV, you know what I mean? Like, every new technology has predicted our end, and we've stuck around. And so this isn't the end of theatre. I think just what we're going to see is a little bit more conservatism in what's put on for the next little while.
Well, Mel, I hope your new production has a run as long as you wish it to be and is very successful, and we come out the other side of this going to musicals with, free abundance of money to spend. And
we need new musicals. Like Beetlejuice is written by Eddie Perfect, who is an Australian composer. We need to like we need Eddie Murphy musicals. I mean, Eddie Perfect music. I would love an Eddie Murphy musical. How great would that be? But yeah, we need that. So let's hope that people are only spooked for about half an hour before we get on with things again.
Well, Mel, thank you so much for sharing your insights. We appreciate it. Thank you.
It's a pleasure, Claire. Thank you.
Mel's excellent play, which was made into a movie, is called The Appleton Ladies Potato Race. You can watch it on Netflix whenever you want. Thanks for hanging out today, friends. If you can afford it, please support our mates in the arts where you can. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Solo Bureau Substack and let me know what stories you want me to follow up. I am currently researching a few that you've sent through, so watch this space if you've popped a suggestion in for me. Have a tops day. Catch you here tomorrow.